Hey everyone, this is Danielle Gardner, and today I am joined by Natalie Kent from Sacred Business. And today we're going to have a chat about unplugging from business, the slow business movement, and redefining what business really is. So, Natalie, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be a nice chat in the slow lane today.
Yes. So let's start from when I first met you, which was in Melanie Middeg's Soul Lounge. You were doing a class there, and the one thing that stands out from that class for me was when I think Melanie asked you about this briefly. It was about how you take 3 days away from your business each week. So you unplug and you're in nature. So essentially 4 days on your business, 3 days unplugged. And my jaw just dropped. I was like,
yeah.
How does she do that? How does she find clients? How does she have a business? You know, and I think ever since I've been wanting to ask you about this, and I know so many of the people in my audience would love to know as well. They're fascinated by a 1 day unplugged. I talk about the Sabbath. You're doing 3. So tell us about how you do it, any challenges you have with it, or give us some ideas on how we can do it as well.
Well, first of all, I will say that when I started doing this, I was traveling around Australia in a motorhome, and so it was quite easy to take time offline because I was literally out bush, and that is where I got all my inspiration from for my business. So it was, even though I was offline, I was still attuned to my business, but in a completely different way than being online. So that was a really big lesson for me in terms of that time allowed me to gain perspective on what I was creating in my business, in the world, my purpose, if you like, all of that. So that's what really opened up for me, was my creativity and my co-creation with Mother Earth, because I was dedicated to her in that time and to feeling my soul and my body and what was rising in me to create. So it was kind of like, it was definitely creative time. And I know that you talk about this with Sabbath.
Yeah.
You know, you can drop into yourself in a different way. But I will say that when I first started doing this, I myself thought, I must be mad. How on earth is this going to work? How on earth am I going to create a business this way? No one else I see is doing it this way. So I was already concerned that I was setting myself up for failure, like going, but there's no proven model for this.
Yeah.
So I was breaking new ground in that sense, and there was a lot of trial and error, but eventually, after doing it for 5 years, it created this rhythm in me and in my body that is an absolute gift and an asset in my business now.
So it sounds like it started off as a matter of circumstance in a way. You just didn't have access to the internet, which certainly would have been helpful. But that allowed you to experience what it was like. And I think that's the big thing. If we can get ourselves into a situation where we can just allow ourselves to experience, right? I mean, one of the things that I'm looking at doing, because I've had people say, like I even had one of my clients say yesterday, Danny, I tried Sabbath this weekend, and after 4 hours I had to turn off on my phone and to do whatever. And she said, you make it sound so easy. And, I was like, it ain't easy. If I've made it look easy, it's not. And what I've started to form this idea is that to have like a sabbatical experience. So to actually take people through preparing for Sabbath or being unplugged, and then debriefing after, like as a group. And I think that's sort of that idea. If you can just place yourself in an environment where you can just experience it, even if you need some accountability to do so, perfect. I even give my phone to my husband and go, like, Saturday, can you mind this? And get it back on Monday. Honestly, that helps.
hats off for doing it at home in your regular environment, because there are all sorts of temptations, and you're also not dropping the same way you would as you do when you're in nature. You really do drop into Earth's rhythm. And so when you're in a house, you're still surrounded by electromagnetic fields, and, you know, so it's, you can't drop in the same way. So definitely having the temptation taken away by not having internet access is, it's something I would suggest if people can try that.
Yeah. So then that kind of leads us in a bit to talking about business in the slow lane, or the slow business movement. Can you share with me a bit of your thoughts or experiences with that whole idea?
That's a big one. But I know that you practice this too, Danny, and I really love what you do.
I do my best. I try.
You're modeling this to people, you know, just observing how you've grown since you came into business by nature, and all the things you've been experimenting with. And one of them for me is, well, kind of like business cycle, growth cycle, is that it actually takes years and years for a business tree, which I like to call it, your business tree, to bear fruit.
Yeah.
And this terrifies a lot of people, because, oh my God, but I need to start making money now, and actually get into business from that energy of scarcity, that like, oh my God, I need to make money. And that just creates this frantic energy that doesn't serve anyone and is not sustainable either.
Yeah.
And you're certainly not going to be able to do your best work from that state. But I see so many people start a business.
Oh, yeah. And not just make some money, not just start making money, but 6 figures in 6 months. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overnight success doesn't exist. Well, it's certainly, if it does, it's certainly not sustainable. So the way I teach is, you know, and I've seen you trial this too, is that when a new creation comes through, a new offering, product, service, whatever, that you actually give it a full 12 months to fully go through those 12 cycles, and then go, okay, I've given it enough time to show me what it is, show me whether it's sustainable, and then I'll tweak it for the next 12 months. Yeah. Like, that's kind of unheard of, you know, like it's all in traditional business, bang, 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 you got to get the offers out there one after the other. That's stressful. So, acknowledging that it takes a full 12 cycles, 12 months to really see the potential of an offering in the long term, whether it becomes a solid branch of your tree or not. And also honouring that a business tree takes time to grow, and that, yes, it can support you financially in the early years, but really for that fruit to ripen, I say 12 years. And you look to nature. Most fruit trees, they don't bear fruit for years.
Yep. Right.
So, I'm always looking to nature to go, how does she do it? What is she showing us? Yeah. And that slows me down, and that gives me, it's really cultivated this sense of trust in how the universe and earth works and provides for us naturally.
Yeah. And and that, what you're saying also reminds me of my sort of second early interaction with you, which is when I had a face reading. So I want everyone to know as well that, well, actually, I don't know if you're still doing that, but I know you do some really exciting other type of creator type readings and all of this based on psychosomatics and things. I was looking over some of my notes. I tore out the page where I made notes from that session, and I've just kept it in the back of my books of some other papers. And I was only looking at it the other day, and there was things there about slowing down, which I hadn't really started yet. Really, actually, it was before I left Australia, I think. And I had left Australia. It was on a visit return, but it was the early days after I left Australia initially. And there was this thing that you also said about, like, you were talking about timing and asking that wise woman within me, like, is now the time, and that kind of stuff. And I just remember thinking, wow. Like this idea of like holding, you're like waiting, you know? I mean, I was just like, idea, get it out, idea, get it out, idea, get it out, like all the time. And it's certainly taken me a while since that conversation to even make some ground with that. But yeah, it's so important that, like, now for me, when I get an idea, giving it space to breathe and letting it mature and incubate is like a legit business strategy. Before it was like a really nice idea. Yeah, that's nice. Give it space to breathe. And now I'm just like, seriously, if I leave it alone for a bit, it just gets better all on its own, seemingly, you know? So I love that, what you're saying.
I love that you've applied that and now you teach it. That's gold.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Before we move off slow business into like redefining what business really is, was there anything else that you had there you wanted to mention?
Yes.
Go.
I wanted to mention that, and this is why I teach, you know, you mentioned psychosomatics. This is why I teach body-based business, essentially, because your body is a reflection of how you create in the world, in the outer world. So whatever you're creating here in your body is what you're creating out there. Yeah. It will follow the same energetic pattern in terms of how you make money as to what's going on here. So that's where the creator types come in, which is a body-based profiling system, which is teaching people how to create by their nature based on their physical features and how energy moves through their bodies.
Yeah.
The thing about this is that business, you know, I term it business in balance, which is when you're making progress, success, making money in your business, you got to ask, what are the side effects of that? Side effects to your body, to your relationships, to, well, your other material realities, like your possessions, your money, all of that. Like, what are the side effects that are going on? Because most people creating businesses have massive side effects. They're actually degrading their bodies because they're applying force to make that success happen, to make that money.
Yeah.
So they're not allowing the earth, allowing the universe to support them and working in co-creation with her. They're actually pushing. So there's a sacrifice for that success, and that will come to bite you down the track at some point, whether it's your health or your marriage or your, you know, your home, whatever. Something will go awry. So I know that you get this, and it makes me so happy that you're teaching this as well, because it's a rare thing in business. People don't talk about the side effects. It's all about the gains. What are your goals?
Yeah, that's right. It's like, all
at once.
There doesn't have to be a cost, of course, you know, if, you're willing to, be more like nature, right? and not expect instant results. And I love what you're saying. And I'll make sure I leave a link underneath this video to, I know you did a video, I don't know whether it was recently, your most recent video in your Facebook group, Business by Nature, which is a public group, everyone, just by the way. So you can actually view that without joining the group. Is that right, Natalie? You can view these videos. So you did a really great video. I didn't get to watch all of it yet because I just found it before we met. But you're talking about how our bodies reflect what you're just saying, and our role, really, our purpose, our role within well, you may not have said it like this, but our role within the human network, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll leave a link to that. Yeah. So what about redefining what business really is? I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about this. Tell us what it really is, Nat.
I have all the answers. Well, again, I look to nature because she is my God, you know. She's my guide, and I look at, okay, so how does she create? Before we slapped money and business and economy on top of human nature and how we're meant to live, what's underneath that? And what I see is it's about creation. business stripped back to what it is intended to be is creation, just like we create a child and bring it into the world and help it to grow up. That is a co-creation with nature. It is not something we did. We actually facilitated that process. We didn't grow the baby. We helped it come into the world. So I see business the same way. It's about natural creation. So how do we get stripped back to those basic principles of, what is your style of creation? That's the creator types based on your body. You've got everything that you need here in this vessel. You actually don't need technology to live well and to bring money in. There's plenty of people who don't even have a website and they're thriving. They're not on social,
No way.
Yes, I know. And I love your recent move, Danny, of I'm just going to take a rest from Facebook and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I guess just to clarify, I'm not taking absolute rest, but I'm doing things this year, bit by bit, to become less reliant. And there's a whole nother can of worms. Why do I even want to become less reliant? Well, anyway, continue.
Yeah. But you're pushing the boundaries and the norms of what people have just accepted to be the way that business is and the way business works. And this is the success model. Bullshit. Yeah. Let's look at the basics. Let's come back to it, the foundation, and go, okay, so without all of that, what have we got? We have our bodies. We have the cycles of nature, which show us what to do and when. The seeds of nature. Okay, this is the time to plant seeds. This is the time to harvest the fruit. This is the time to strip back, toil the soil. Those really basic fundamental things of life. That's to me and especially with the emergence of people who are doing business in the slow lane, this is what I see is coming to the surface more and more is natural creation.
Yeah, beautiful. And like I always say, really for me, going slower has made me progress more.
Yes, I love that.
As simple as that. So slow doesn't have to mean nothing's happening, Yeah.
Or that you're slow.
Yeah.
That's right. Honestly, you're doing great things, Danny, with modeling this for people. I just think it's fantastic. So
yeah, thank you, Nat. And so are you, for sure. So let's talk about quickly, as we kind of close up now, about how people can find out a bit more about what you're doing and your approach. And I just want to say to everyone, I have actually been really working with Natalie, I think it's about 18 months-ish,
feels
about
like
that. Yeah, maybe, well, actually, yeah, my first interactions were a bit longer, but being a regular participant in your Business by Nature, they were monthly calls. Now they're 3 monthly immersions. So I did my first 3 monthly immersion with you in December, right? And I just really encourage everyone to have a look at this. Natalie also does in-person immersions in Australia, which hopefully I will get to one day. But these, but these online ones, what Natalie's doing, well, I'll explain it the best I can, and please fill in the gaps. But is taking us through like the next 3 months, like the 3 months that are coming up, basically, and looking at each particular cycle within the 3 cycles within that 3 months, and helping us consider things, focus our efforts, like kind of, I don't know, be prepared for what's coming up, kind of thing. But how would you explain the immersion?
Well, I love what you just said for a start. That's a great introduction. And my reason for creating these virtual immersions is to bring the tribe together. And I know that you're doing this with your business sanctuary too, and it's so nourishing for everyone involved to actually come together and have an event. That's not I moved away from monthly calls to the virtual immersion, which are half-day immersions. They're 4 hours.
Yeah.
And everyone comes together. So everyone clears their diaries to come to make space for this. And you're making space to listen to what is coming through for your business in the following season. So there is some teaching and there's some nature practices and, lots of interaction in that half day. But it's all about tuning in and attunement to what am I really creating in the world at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Every week and every day we can get caught up in the nitty-gritty, but this is time to step back. And same with the in-person immersions. They're 3 days, 3 nights on the land in some amazing locations. And that's, again, same thing. We're getting offline for that time and drop into the earth, nature speed. Yeah,
I love it. And especially a lot of online stuff, it's sort of like there can be this tendency to be watching while you're doing something else, or squeezing it in here before dinner or whatever. And so I love how you've just explained the virtual immersion, because really it is about creating space. This is not a rush job, skid into the room, kind of join the call thing, right? It's about being really present. And of course, I love the break that happens in the middle of that, where we actually go away, go off the call, go into nature, do some things, come back. Yeah, it's really great. Love it.
Of course. Yeah. And, the beauty of bringing everyone together, and this is another way that nature creates, is through ecosystems. I'm going to get a touch on this, but it is a key one, because moving into the age of Aquarius, it's all about tribe and where you fit into the whole. You can't find out how you fit into the whole if you're operating as a solo entrepreneur. You don't have a tribe to connect into. You can only really understand your gifts and what you bring to the table in context.
Yeah, love that.
Of other creators. So that's the other reason for us coming together regularly. It's really important.
Yeah, I've seen you talk about that, and it's so interesting. It's so, kind of a new voice going against the grain. It's not about the guru anymore. It's, and even like I heard you talk about, it's not about the hero's journey anymore, which, that is kind of controversial in itself, because that is something that's highly valued at the moment in marketing and stuff like that. And so that would be an interesting discussion to have, because it's like, isn't there something in there now? Isn't there? That's what I was thinking. But anyway,
down the rabbit hole we go.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me in this chat today. I'm going to leave all your links, relevant links, so that people can find out more about you. And until next time, namaste, and thank you very much.
Love your work.
Thanks, Nat. Bye.